All right. There you go. So we are going to start with our winners first. So you guys do not have to endure, if you're just here to see if you're a winner, the whole Q&A. But if you did submit a question for the Q&A mindset wise, I do encourage you guys to stick around and listen to it. Or if you have had like a rough week or a couple weeks and maybe you're like, I could really use some mindset help right now, I definitely would stick around if you want to, just to be able to like hear some of the suggestions or ask questions. You can definitely ask in the chat as well. It's definitely like open mic style with this live. But we did ask you guys to answer questions too. So we have about 27 of them to get through too that we'll be answering. And each of us will kind of go through them. Some questions will be, they'll actually be something like maybe I can't comment on, somebody else can, or vice versa. So that's why we have all the staff here. So if there's something in particular you are looking for to be answered by a specific person as well, please feel free to also ask them. So we have a lot of people here. But let's get into the reason you guys are all here, which is the prizes. So I think we can just, if you want to go ahead and spin, we're going to do 3 too, by the way. We're doing 3 this week. My goodness, Jay, is it lagging
The
just for me?
first winner. Oh,
It's
is it
very
lagging?
laggy. Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well, I'm
Ooh.
gonna give it a little time. That way the unlagginess comes through. So congratulations. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce your name. I'm sorry, but congratulations, Marin, for winning. What's gonna happen? Actually, we could probably just reference the first one. We'll reference the first one in an announcement. That way you can go back in that first one, as I'm going to spin for the second winner. In that first Mindset Live we did for Mindset May, I kind of went over all the designs that you could potentially pick out. And we'll probably go over that at the end, actually. Congratulations, Double D, as well, for the second winner.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's probably fair to just go over everything again quickly. So I'll do that later. And then the third and final winner for this week. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Weird. Ooh,
MLP.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
So congratulations to Marin, Double D, and MLP. Please send a private message to either me or Christy, and then we'll get your mindset merch for you of whatever design you choose.
Yeah.
And I'm so jealous. The panda and the mindset wizard are so amazing.
I'm glad.
There's a lot of them are such cool designs.
I know, they really are.
Roxy
good.
really killed it, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're awesome. In fact, Roxy got promoted today to making the rest of the merchandise store.
A promotion, yay.
Yeah, great. No, honestly, like her designs were like spot on. I was like, these are really good. Like the rest of the TTF store should look like this. So hopefully we'll have some new merchandise too, like just basic trading stuff as well. So, but yeah, thank you for that. And I will reach out to the 3 winners and get you guys set up with how to get your prizes. So congratulations, you guys. Thank you for submitting this week and journaling about your feelings. And I hope that you guys are finding this helpful. If you are, let us know in the chat. And let us know like how you're feeling about how that's going for you guys. And we'll get into the questions too. So, but we appreciate your feedback for sure.
Yeah, it's been really great. People journaling in there has been it really has been great, Christy. They've been doing a good job. Quite a few people being like real consistent about it. And I think it has been helping them because they can see what they're holding themselves to. A few have messaged me and said, yeah, it's been really great accountability. That was something that was really highlighted. So
yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. I just like honestly kind of blown away at like how crazy the chat looks in there every day. I'm like, wow, like way more people are like participating than I thought. And then getting our own staff to participate who like last week we're talking about stuff and I'm like super proud of you guys for like getting in there and actually like participating too. So all right, so let's get into some of the Q&A stuff that you guys have sent over to us. I guess, Jay, do you have these two? Do you want me to read or do you want to read? How do you want to
You can read, but I can if you want. Doesn't matter to me.
You could split them. You want to do every other? Make it fun.
How exciting.
So we have a question here. All right, first one I am going to skip. We'll come back to it if we have time, just because it's about Happy Trail and this is about mindset questions. So just to keep you guys focused in the chats, If you are going to ask questions, please keep them mindset focused for this live. I'm happy if we have time at the end to answer this happy trail question, but that is definitely something I can answer like on a different type of live. So question number 1 is tips on how to be patient for the right setups. Anybody want to take this one before me? Crickets. All right.
Something
read
that
the-
worked.
I'll
Oh,
read the
okay.
questions, Chris. No.
I was going to say
No.
something that worked for me was really narrowing down the time in which I trade. And knowing that I was only interested in setups during those time. And that really kind of relieved a lot of stress in the time outside of those windows. And it allowed me to kind of really focus in and making sure that I was patient and waiting for the right trade like during that window.
I think having clearly defined rules also really helps you to be patient. When you're not guessing, is every candle your candle, you know what you're looking for to take a trade.
Yeah. I'll agree. I mean, I have nothing else to say about that. Like I 100% agree with those tips. I think it's one of those things that you just need to kind of learn from experience. And I know that advice kind of sucks, but you won't learn to be patient until you've learned kind of to be impatient. I feel like until you kind of learn how being impatient and forcing a trade or kind of making up these trades in your head that like making it fit your rules when you know it doesn't really fit your rules. I feel like until you kind of go through that process, you don't really learn to appreciate not doing that, because then you kind of,
Yeah.
I don't
School
know.
of hard
It's almost
knocks.
like, yeah, you almost have to learn how like you got to get burnt to learn not to touch the hot stove a little bit.
Yeah.
But my advice is get burnt on a demo. Do it on a demo account. If you're going to get burnt, do it on a demo and learn over and over. And please don't do it on a live account. But from the best thing is just be patient, follow your rules, follow your setup. Like, if you're forcing it. But again, journaling, this kind of also helps you too. Be honest in your journals. Nobody's judging you except for yourself. But then at the end of the week, you can go back or month or whatever you're seeing it. And you can be like, did you bend it a little bit? Did you tweak it a little bit? Did it really work? Or were you kind of forcing that trade? And I think that's when you'll start to realize that when you kind of force a little bit too much, that's when you end up with problems. And hopefully that will teach you to be patient.
The next question kind of, I think, adds on to this. It says some tips on not touching your stop loss. Don't hawkeye your trades. Like don't be staring at your trades for the entire time, because it's just going to eat at you. Every single candle that goes up and down, it's literally a roller coaster. Like it's I think it's the perspective. I'm hoping that you've back tested before going out into the live markets, but as I've said before, it's like the perception is kind of the same idea in the sense is that backtesting trades take seconds, and you could be trading on like the 15-minute or so, but once you take it live, like that trade could take an hour, couple hours, couple days, and you're just like, prices are like getting closer to your stop loss. Oh, it's about to hit, and be like, oh, if I move it up a little bit, like it's gonna go back down, right? It won't hit. I can move it up a little bit, and like that's just bad habits forming. So tips on not touching your stop loss. Don't do it.
Use alerts.
Yeah.
That
Set and
gives you-
forget.
Yeah, we've got that. I think we have Mindset Short about that, or at least we've dropped a couple of tips about it. If you guys use alerts, you're going to get a lot more time to be away from the charts, which is amazing, because hopefully trading is also buying you more freedom and time, not to mention just the money. But alerts allow you to not worry about what the trade is doing. You don't focus on each candle. You wait until an alert is hit, because you set one hopefully at your stop loss and your take profit. And that'll really help you to just be a little bit more hands off. And that can help with the patience aspect as well, that the last question touched on. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think absolutely alerts is a huge thing. For me, I was really guilty of this when I was learning. And what I found helped for me personally was moving up a time frame. So like everyone else, I wanted to live on the 1 minute and 5 minute time frame. And that just wasn't really where I needed to be at that time in my trading. And I found what I would do a lot is I just couldn't admit defeat. I couldn't admit that I was wrong in my trade and my analysis. And then I would move, I'm making my stop loss bigger and bigger and bigger, and to the point where my risk to reward just made absolutely no sense anymore. It was nonsensical, and it was never going to work out in my favor. And it's just a bad idea to do that. And I understand how that feels when you get into that, like moving the stop loss habit, which is a really hard habit to break. So for me, I forced myself to move up to the 15-minute and the 1 hour time frame. And then I was able to set alerts. So I would set my trades, and I would set an alert when it would get close to my stop loss or my take, or not, sorry, just to my take profit, not an alert even near my stop loss. I didn't want to know because I didn't want to be tempted to move it. That's kind of how I got around it. And I would set it and walk away from my computer. I would go do things. I would purposely like schedule things right after, like when I would do my analysis in the morning, like appointments or things like that I had to go do. So I physically couldn't be in front of the computer stalking it. That's a bit extreme, but that was like how I had to get over it. But I mean, you guys, like, that's kind of, if you have to be that extreme with yourself, be that extreme with yourself. Or again, journal out every time you violate it, and like set up, it sounds kind of extreme again, but set like a punishment up for yourself. Like set it up that someone else holds you accountable for that. Like take it to your significant other or somebody who is like, how many times did you violate it this week? Okay. And like something
I used to give
happens.
myself push-up
Like-
punishments.
Well, it hasn't worked out well, Jay, but
That's tough. That's tough.
and yeah, no, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It just goes to show how I
Courtney-
follow my rules.
I was gonna say you must be really good at your rules.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just messing.
It's a
But no,
win-win.
that's kind of a way I could say maybe if you need that extreme tough
Distract
love.
yourself, basically. Just
Yeah.
distract yourself. Enter the trade, go do something else to where like you can't check back on it.
Mhm.
Delete the app, delete TradingView app from your phone.
Oh gosh, that's extreme too. But yeah, sure.
I wanted to throw one out actually. If you're the type of person who just can't bring yourself to do that, to like actually pull your way, start by watching on a higher time frame than you enter on. Like once you're in the trade, like say you enter on the 5 minute, just go watch it on the 15 or half hour. It's much easier to not move your stop loss or take profit looking at the higher time frame, saying to yourself like, oh, there's a whole lot going on here, not just what I see on like the little bit that I'm looking at. So I know it's like, it's tough for me like to place the trade. Like I hear all the answers to the questions, and I'm like, those are all great if you're able to actually peel yourself away, but peeling yourself away can be tough. So yeah, if you can't peel yourself away.
Good to
Real quick.
practice though.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Sven, would you like to
Okay,
say something?
I was
since
gonna
we
say,
muted you?
Sven, yay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm totally with the like get yourself something good. So I want to have the mindset as my job as a trader is to identify the setup, and once the setup occurs, I execute on it. And once I've executed, my job as a trader is to wait until that trade is done, either take profit or stop loss. And if you back tested it, you have a good idea how long that typically takes, right? Let's say you trade on the 50 minutes, I don't know, it takes like 2 hours typically. But these 2 hours, you have now earned them to do something else. So do something you like. That's like your like, how do you say it? Like, if you do something good, that's your benefit from doing that. And that's the mindset I want to have as a trade. Like, wait for my setup, execute without hesitation. And after that, walk away. You have your alerts, everything is done. And you now know that you have at least those 2 hours as an example as your free time, and do something you enjoy. And if you do that over and over again, because you always benefit from that, it's very easy to get a good habit, because you get, for the punishment, you get a reward for that. It's positive thinking more like. So, and that at least, I think, if you don't
I
trade
like
on a minute,
rewards
the minute
more.
might be difficult, but if you trade on a bit higher time frames, that's a very nice thing to do. Because
Yeah,
you're
I
looking
mean-
forward to it. You're looking for, hey, I've executed my trade. Now I get to read a book, go
Mhm.
jogging. I don't know what else. You do play a game. There's so many things.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And-
I mean, the punishment part was a little extreme on my part, but I needed that at that time because I was really bad at it. Like I'm telling you, I was so bad, and like I just wasn't, nothing was working for me. But then I did do the reward part, which I love that you actually mentioned that, because I did like followed up, like as I would get better at it, I found like I would make appointments, but like my appointments were like, oh, go get a facial, go get a massage. Like they were like, go get my nails done. Like I like the things that I like do, like there was those type of things. So that way, like I was out of the house and it was something I wanted to leave the house for. So like, it was like, oh no, this is what you get to go do. And it became a positive reinforcement to like, this is why you want to trade. You want this free time and not to sit in like, in that anxiety frazzled state where you're staring at a stop loss and like moving it all the time, staring at a screen all day long. So that, yeah, I 100% agree.
So
with it,
Christy, I don't think you're telling him to go get a facial every day and break the bank.
No. Only if you're making money and have like the ability to do it. But it was not every day. But again, read the book is a good, like just anything that you enjoy doing that like gets you away from the chart. And the point is you have the alert set or whatever you need to do. And most people have the phones. You can at least get a notification or something if it's getting, you can send the alert to it or something like that. So you have an idea of what's going on. But yeah, but make sure you're setting stop losses and take profits. Don't just set it and then walk away with nothing. You always need to be setting take profit and stop loss to be able to like just walk away. But yeah, the higher time frames, I think, trying to stay accountable to some degree and then rewarding yourself when you do follow it. I think that's a good way to do it. Okay, next question. Does anyone else have anything else to say about that one?
I'll reference our Pass the Test video. Honestly, stacking your wins and seeing it that way, it becomes much more painful to break that trend that you build with that, if that makes sense. You're much more likely to hold to a habit as you stack the wins that you're getting from following your rules. And that'll come the same with moving your stop loss. That's just one of those that you can practice in the exact same way. So.
Thank you. All right, so next question. I like this one. Do you use music while trading? And if so, what is your favorite song, playlist, style, music? I think everyone should probably go through this one, just because I think it's a yes, probably for all of us to some degree. But I'm curious to know what styles or playlist everyone listens to. So, all right, somebody want to start? I guess whoever wants to start.
Okay, I can. It kind of depends on my mood a little bit. So I have some soundtrack instrumental type stuff that I listen to because I find words to be super distracting. So it'll be kind of like piano music, that type of stuff, but it's not what you're thinking, like just classical. It's actually upbeat. I always like things that kind of have a upbeat type of rhythm to them, and they're mixing in something like that. Yeah, that's pretty much most of what I put on in the background, or if I need something like faster paced, but I like things that have just kind of a happy vibe to them, that type of thing. So. Jinx, what do you listen to?
I like classical too. I actually like classical though. Like you're saying a little, like you're like, oh, I'm a little more modern. I love like piano solos and like instrumental pieces, because I also find the words can be a little bit, like it depends on what I'm doing that day, but sometimes if I need to like zone in and focus, like the words do become distracted. I become like kind of like lost in the songs and I'm like distracted. So yeah, I definitely like that too. But I also on more carefree days, or not want to say carefree, but like more chill days, I literally music on now in the background. So I like that's why I'm laughing.
Yes.
Like I always have music on, or I like background noise. I'm definitely a background noise person. So I definitely do listen to it. Oh, it's weird. Jay actually did this yesterday when we were joking, because there's days where you'll forget because you're so like focused on work that you'll forget you didn't put music on. And then you're like really cranky. Sometimes we find like by the end of the day and we're like, oh, I didn't put music on today.
I was tunnel visioned in what I was doing, and I messaged Christy. I'm like, I'm a complete psychopath. I'm literally working without music
for hours, just like in silence, just pure silence.
Who have I become?
God, that's just terrible.
Yeah, and then we're like, no wonder I feel like off. Like I've just been sitting here in silence, like focused. But
I think a new one I found recently was, and I'll probably mispronounce it, but Kygo. It's a piano type music. It was just on YouTube, but I found a few playlists and it was kind of cool.
I have to check it out.
Kygo.
Oh, that's
he's
that's
amazing.
a dubstep.
Yeah.
He's not like he writes songs, but he doesn't like sing. He like orchestrates.
Producer.
Dubstep producer.
Well, there's a couple piano mixes that I like.
Like the summer vibes. Yeah, I like those summer vibes too. I could see what you mean.
I want to just quickly, just so we can get Ian in here, because Ian is out in the Discord in case you guys do not know. But Ian is also talking. He's just not on camera. He's kind of hanging out in the chats. But he did answer too that he does love his music as well. And he is 100% into music and Radiohead for me, which is a fun one.
That's awesome.
All right. So if you guys want to move on, Jay, do you want to? I'm just looking down my list of people, but however you guys want to talk. I want to know everybody's music taste though at this point.
If I'm not jamming and belting out my lungs whenever I'm trading, I'm doing it wrong. I connect my sound bar to Spotify, and my neighbors hate me and they know what I'm trading. So that's all I really have to say.
Yeah.
But
The
for
other
me, it's
thing
all
though.
over the place.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm depending on what mood it is. So from like house, piano music, hard rock, oldies, everything. That's all. The thing for me then is the more numb the thing I'm doing, the less I need to think, the louder the music gets. So if I like very focused trading, it's about like slow piano music, backdrop music, stuff like. And if I do like backtesting,
Yes. Yes. I do
backtesting?
not do the piano music for backtesting. For backtesting, it is something that is like, yeah, oldies are something rock and roll, like something's got a thumpy beat to it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't mind words when I'm backtesting because to me that is a mindless. I actually like my mind to be distracted when I'm backtesting because then I know I'm not over analyzing. I'm
Yeah.
truly taking just like I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do like some hard music backtesting though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'd be clicking so hard.
Yes.
to the beach. Yes.
Breaks the mouse.
That's awesome. All right. Jinx, I know you are a music lover like me. So
I'm like
I'd love
totally,
to know.
I'm totally both ends of the spectrum when I'm back testing. I'm karaoke mode like Jay. I want to be singing along. If I'm live trading, I was gonna say it's always in the morning. And usually I carry over kind of whatever I did during meditation, whether it's like the running water or brown noise. If I'm live trading, like no words. I'm kind of the same way as you guys were talking about. Like live trading is completely focused and usually maybe something like atmospheric, like either like you guys were talking like the summer vibes, like rainforesty summer, nothing like outrageous, but yeah, just nice, keep you uplifting, keep you upbeat. But yeah, if I'm backtesting, I'm karaoke mode and the neighbors know it for sure.
So funny. Yeah.
You might be able to hear me.
Yeah.
And I think I hear you.
The thing that I know Jay does too, and I do, we actually like when we're super trying to focus is sound waves. Like we're kind of into like, so it made me think of that when you said meditation. So I don't really do like a specific meditation music, but I love that idea. I'm not against it. Just don't really like focus. Like rain will put me to sleep because I have a sound machine. So like I would probably fall asleep.
Yes.
But like there's sound waves and there's different wavelengths that like can help stimulate different things like what you want, so they say. But I find they help. It keeps me more focused. But yeah, I love that. Cool. But yeah, I think that for a lot of us, what you'll probably see to try and kind of come back to your question about like the style, and I'm just reading through a playlist. So I think when we're trading, we don't really like to be too distracted. Like, not that you have to be insanely focused and like, oh, like hyper focused, but like you don't want to be just like willy-nilly, like, oh, just like eventually maybe, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't keep on like the poppy music just bopping my head along when I'm doing my now. Like you still want to be making sure you're paying attention to what you're doing and you're not just like overlooking something. So I think a lot of us are kind of staying a little more focused when you're trading. I'm big about ambiance too, but that's just like me, like aesthetically, like I put the little TV, like if my TV's on, like I'll mute my TV and I like, depending on this season, because I have 4 seasons, like I might have like a fireplace crackling in the background or like snow falling or like the leaves, like I don't know. It just like helps me kind of keep in my Zen type of vibe. To
I
just
picture
keep
you
feel
trading
good.
like that little like the lo-fi girl on
Yeah.
YouTube. I just like the way you described that. I was just like Christy Kin's turn, and just from the side, just like oh, snow, and then the leaves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that's 100% it. Someday I'll show you. Like right now I have like a cherry blossom tree that I put up a lot that just has like, because
nice.
it's spring and it just like has these pink little like, I don't know.
Oh, you have
It's
to
just,
share that, Christy. You have
all right,
to.
I will. And it's like above my fireplace, so everything just feels like nice. I have my cup of coffee in the morning and everything just has that like all right, take a breath, sit down, trade kind of vibe. Obviously that's not what happens for everyone. And it didn't always start out like that, but it's something like I've just learned to have as like part of my trading ritual. And that's the one thing I will say, whether you listen to music or not, I think having a trading ritual of some sort that you kind of get yourself into to get your mind ready to start trading, or to sit down and just kind of disconnect from whatever's going on in the world with you and your life, and then just focus on sitting down to trade now. Because sometimes if you're doing a million different things and you're multitasking and now you're trying to trade too, that flows over. And that's where I think the anxiety or the stress of trying to force a trade, rush trading, or whatever might be happening in the market is going to kind of just merge together, your everyday life busyness and your trading. It's not a good
Well, to
idea.
help kind of lead to the next question, actually.
Well,
Hold on
wait,
one
hold on.
sec.
We didn't get
Hold on one
Ken.
sec. Yeah, I was to say Ken's
Oh.
muted.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
true.
coming to you, Ken. All right. I want to know what kind of music Ken listens to when he trades. I'm asking you to unmute Ken.
Maybe he walked away.
And I'm done with you guys. You're not listening to me.
No,
There
sure.
he is.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
We
Yeah.
can now.
What kind of
Okay.
music do you like, Ken?
I
What do you
listen.
listen?
I know I listen to everything, and it depends on my mood. I'll listen to Disturbed down to Christian music, to jazz.
Christian
I-
music has got me there. That was a new one. We haven't heard that.
I was
yet,
gonna
but
say
don't-
I listened to a lot of that, but I didn't know to mention it.
I don't
So-
hate it. I feel like there's some like solid like Christian rock roots
It's
out there.
Here
that's
there
what I
is.
listen to is Christian rock. Yep.
Wow, yeah.
Yep.
I remember like Creed. I was like, Creed's a Christian rock? Oh, anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow.
Okay,
That's
there you
solid.
go.
All right. All right. I love this. All right. All right. Well, we can make an hour-long live out of just talking about our music taste. But
Brilliant.
I hopefully you guys are reading through the chats here. Lots of good stuff. This one did make me laugh from Peter, where he says, depending if I'm winning, if it's Adele comes on, then I'm in drawdown. And I love
Adele. Adele's
And-
good.
she's great, but like you put Adele and you're going through something. I feel like Adele doesn't come on when you're like up the like 10 reward or something. Like you're not putting Adele on. You're putting on like something else. But no, that didn't make me laugh. But she is amazing. No hate to Adele. She's wonderful. She's got quite a voice on her. All right. Let's move on to our next question there. Do you have a pre-market ritual / checklist? And if so, can you share? So this kind of comes off the last question we talked about, where it's kind of like throwing them together, that it is important to have a ritual, in my opinion. I think that's important. I don't think you need to have these crazy ones that you might see on some of these like day in the life guru YouTube videos. That's pretty ridiculous, in my opinion, like where you have your chef come and you read. I don't know. I
sorry.
don't know what they do. They have like chefs come and like, have you never watched them? Oh,
The
God.
barber shows up daily. Yes.
Yeah, for a good laugh, go watch one.
Yeah.
No, that
No,
none of
I've
us are-
seen them, but it's like
I need to get my Instagram post in first. Let me get
Yeah.
in front of the Lambo. All right.
You
Where's
gotta
my
wake up
chef?
at like 4 a.m. and run 20 miles, and then you do your meditation
yeah.
for an hour, and you read your inspirational
Wait,
quotes.
you
and
only
then,
do 20 miles? Damn. Okay, whatever.
I don't do any. I'm
Crazy.
worse than you with the push-ups. Like, please, I don't really. No. I do not have a workout routine. I probably should, but I don't. No, but I don't do that. But do I have a little routine like I just told you guys? Yeah, like I have like a way I like to kind of like go about my morning, and something I've tried to really get good at doing, and I'm struggling lately, and I'll be the first to admit this. So this does affect my mindset. Is not looking at my phone or specifically Discord before I actually wake up for the day. And I've talked about this before, actually, a few months ago, where I really was trying like hard not to do that. And I'm failing miserably at it.
The
It's
truth
tough.
comes out.
Failing miserably
So
at it.
tough.
I definitely, I'm really struggling to not do that. And then I find I start like answering questions, and because I constantly want to keep up with you guys, and I'm having a hard time. And then it does throw me off my morning too. So it's something I need to work on. It's definitely my to-do list to get back at like being better at doing that. But for me, typically part of my ritual is to just kind of take the morning an hour or so to like, I like coffee. Like I like a coffee drinker. I like to get up and have my coffee. And like I said, I'll tidy up my house a little bit. Cause like, I don't like dishes and knowing that there's things waiting for me when I'm done trading for the day or done working for the day. I want to just be done and be able to go about my day. So I try to do like my morning stuff, and it kind of just like gets me mentally ready to sit down and be like prepared. And then I have my nice ambiance and I have my music and all that.
And the cherry
That's
blossom.
part of it.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah, and well, that's right now because it's spring.
And
But, like,
Adele.
Yeah. Hopefully not too much Adele.
Damn,
We're a lot of drawdown.
You assuming she's a drawdown? That's tough.
Yeah, hopefully not too much, but lately maybe. I don't know. All right. Well, let's see. Anybody else have like rituals you guys can talk about? I would love to know what you guys do. It sounds like Jinx, you do some meditation stuff, which I wish I was better at. And Roxy, I was talking to you. We did a
Yeah.
mindset podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys-
Meditation, stretching. I make sure that everything that is taken care of, like I have 3 dogs, so I make sure they're all settled. They understand my trading routine, take care of them, get them tucked in their beds, because then it's just kind of like, okay, we're all quiet for a bit, you know? But yeah,
wish-
stretching, meditation, and I drink a bunch of water because that helps to like hydrate after being asleep and wake myself up and that type of thing. And then it's just quiet, like headphones on, and just in the zone.
So we do opposites. Like Roxy like
Mhm.
works out, stretches, and drinks water, and I like don't do any of that, and I just drink coffee. But we still both day trade, so there's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
But I will say,
Wow.
I wish my dog would get on a
Yeah, I was
schedule
gonna
with
say,
me, and
does
I'm so
Zola do
jealous.
market analysis with you or no?
She takes a nap, and then about an hour in, she'll crawl into my lap for snuggles while we're
You're like,
while I
you
finish
should be
up,
in your
so.
trades now, you can leave.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, you're done for the day, right? It's like, well, not quite. She's like,
Yeah.
you're done. Come on.
Wow, I'm jealous that your dogs are
Mom,
on a
just
schedule.
trail your stop
Mine's
loss.
not. Well, that's good. So thank you for sharing. And again, I
fine.
think that's great advice. Sven, do you have anything that you do?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, before I go to trading, I'm already like 2 or more hours awake. So because I when I wake up, I go straight to my little gym and do a bit of spinning. If I manage to. Lately, I didn't do that much, I have to admit. And after that, I just cater to the family, get a little one ready, and get him something to eat, and then bring him to kindergarten. And after that, I get to my office. The first thing I do when I get in the office is I power on my computer and open the window so I get fresh air. And then I get everything ready, like get me something to drink, typically some how do you say it in English? Oh God, it's so late for me right now. Some vegetables is the other thing. Fruits. I get typically some fruits then cut for me, and that's basically my having drink and a little bit to eat setup. So when I come back into the office, I know I have full of fresh air, and the first thing I do on the computer is I put on the focus mode in Windows, so that for the next half hour I don't get any pings whatsoever, no email, no nothing. And this is my
Smart.
setup time. So this is the time where I go on the charts, update my markups. And other than that, in my routine is, even though I know my trade plan, I quickly go through it, just a reminder. And I have a list of things I did not do well the past days. And I want to have them at the forefront of my mind because I hate doing mistakes twice. I don't mind having mistakes or failures, because every mistake you make, you can learn from it. So I appreciate that, but I don't want to make it twice. So that's why I have this like, what did I not did good the last few days or last week? And I just bring that up to the forefront of my mind. So I know, okay, don't do the stupid shit. Everything else you have covered. And yeah, and that's about it. So after that half hour, I'm set. I have my marks up. I know when I want to be in the market. And then I can put on the music, can Discord, email, whatever. Because I get a ping when I get close to an area where I want to be in the market, like actively watching. And anything else is just doing other stuff around the computer, basically. So
I love
for me, the
that
most
you-
important time is the first 30 minutes on my computer, because that's where I set up my day.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that too. I mean, I think people think that we just sit all day and just analyze all day. And the truth is, I think most people don't. It's like an initial morning, for me at least. It's like an initial morning, about 15, maybe 30 minutes in the morning, where you just like spend that time looking at everything, kind of figure out what's going on in the market. And then you're just waiting for the market to either get to where you want it to go, or that level or area. So you can set those alerts. And like, that's where then you can kind of go about your day, because you already know what you're kind of looking for. And I'm assuming that's what you're kind of saying too, Sven.
Yeah.
But I love your recommendation of just going on like do not disturb type of mode on your computer. I don't do that, and I should. So I'm gonna steal that
Same.
from you. I should steal that. You guys will hate it though in the community, but tough. No, No. Again, it's my issue with Discord. So when I see the messages piling up, I can't help but look, and it's a bad problem of mine. I need to learn how to break. So I think the do not disturb thing would be really good. So thank you. But yeah, I think for other people too, if you get the alerts or the pop-ups and you're like me, that's a great idea.
Can you unmute Roxy?
I will. I see her.
Cool. I figured.
Jinx, would you like to talk about your routine?
Sure. I'm very like checklist based. It's just kind of like how my mind works. So I totally operate off of like checklists. I'm a dad, so like first and foremost, like waking up is I do. What's
I
up,
wanted
sorry?
to ask, I wanted you guys to talk about this a little bit, but I didn't want to like put you guys on the spot about your kids. But
Oh yeah.
the people with children, I would like you to talk a little bit if you don't mind, just because like realistically, come on, you're not like waking up and doing the guru lifestyle crap that they try to say. You have a child too that probably wakes up whenever they want. And
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
and
I
I
wake
think
up
it's a good-
and it's like his breakfast and his lunch is like first and foremost, and like making sure he gets to school. And then like it's I know it seems stupid, but uh doing all of like the really little personal things sets you up for like a good day. So like I'm always making sure that I'm like taking a good shower in the morning, and like you said, like doing like the little bit of dishes just from the night before, so it's not weighing on your mind like I like when I'm done with trading I gotta go do those dishes, or like I gotta go clean the yard up or something. I like
Oh,
to
your
try and
maid
get through-
doesn't come every day to
yeah,
do that.
yeah, exactly. Yes, only monthly, Christy. Yes. But yeah, it's I actually it's funny that this was one of the questions, because I'm actually in the process of starting to try and wake up earlier. That's tougher and tougher for me to do because I'm not really a morning person. But I do want more time in the morning before I even hit that like at the office stage. I want more of that time to be able to, because like Sven had said, like, oh, he likes being up 2 hours before he even like looks at the chart or turns on the computer. And right now I'm kind of only up for like that half hour, 45 minutes. And I really want a little bit more time before I'm looking at the charts, just to both kind of like fully wake up. I know, as silly as that may sound, but kind of both to fully wake up and just kind of make sure that I'm reflecting on how I did like the day before and like moving forward. And just kind of approaching it with a good attitude. And I mean, for me, that involves like just a super quick, like 5-minute meditation, which is something that I only incorporated like very recently into my life. I didn't get meditation for the longest time. Like I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand its purpose or what it was really like meant to do. And I feel like I have a bit better grasp on it now. So, but yeah, I do a little bit of meditation beforehand, and yeah, that's it. I meditate, do a little analysis, set some alerts now. I do alerts now, which is kind of cool. And I try and go about my day. And yeah. Oh, and I can't forget, I walk my dog. I try to walk my dog. I'm not always the best about it. I always walk her, but I don't always get to walk her before I start on the chart. And I do, that's one of the things I want to be waking up early for, is I want to get her on a walk like first thing in the morning. So
I'm with you, Jenks, because me
Yeah.
and Jenks are on East Coast time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has anything to do with, but like I'm also not, I don't love early mornings. I mean, I do it now, but I don't love it. But I am very jealous of the fact that Roxy's dogs behave when she trades. Because I feel like it's my fault because I don't walk my dog like
Yeah.
before. We're an afternoon walk type of family,
Yeah.
so like after I'm done, then I'm like, okay, we'll go out and we'll go for a nice walk now, because then I feel like I can step away now. But the truth is the dog drives me crazy, and I'm jealous that yours just go to sleep, because mine just barks the whole time, and I'm like, man, I should tire her out. So I should get on
Yeah.
your schedule and walk my dog in the morning.
Well, and
But
that's the
it
thing,
is
like, I think for kids too.
therapeutic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no,
Sorry.
I was thinking there is something kind of therapeutic about that too, for even for
Yeah.
Jinx. Like I think maybe that could be something that
Yeah.
also becomes a ritual. So yeah, I mean, there's so many things. And the people with kids are
Definitely.
cracking me up right now in the chat too. But yeah, I think you're about to touch on that. Was that what you're about to say, Roxy?
Oh, I was just going to
Yeah.
say, it's the same thing for my dogs that it is for kids. Like the more you can put them on a schedule and a routine, the more
Yeah.
they anticipate and can at least help follow that a little bit. I don't know if Sven, if it's similar for you with your kiddo and putting them on routine, Jenks, you, but for my dogs, like they know what to expect and when, and they're okay to just wait. And then it's like, okay, but like, I kid you not, 5 minutes before I'm ready is exactly when they start. Okay, now,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, almost. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same for you guys with kids, but
Yeah, Sven, if you don't mind,
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I have the benefit that I trade London, and that's for me like 8 o'clock in the morning.
We
And
are
that's also
very
when I
jealous.
drop
So
off
jealous.
my little
So
one to kindergarten, so I have the morning off, say from being a daddy. But in the afternoon, he knows my working times, and it even goes that far that so often I also get back in the office once he gets to sleep, and he oftentimes even sends me to the office like, Daddy, go to the office. Yeah, I want to cuddle with you right now. I want to put you to sleep. Yeah, go to the office, Daddy. Okay, then I go work. Okay, I understand. Yeah, but the important thing is to be less consistent with it, and then I can understand when you are in the office, and he knows. So my office is in the lower part of the house, and I can actually block the staircase going down, so he can't open it. So and normally it's open, so he knows if it's open, he can come down and join me and say hi. But if I have something important to do, or I know I have a very focused session, I just close the second. He knows if that's closed, it means that he has no time. And
Yeah.
he is okay with that because he knows what it means right now.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So thank you for sharing, because I think that that's something sometimes we don't always talk about. We don't always open up like family situations and stuff. And obviously, like children and trading from your home, like the idea is work from home, but your children are in your home, and trying to figure out how to make that routine work. I think that's huge for you guys in like Europe, London, like all that. I am jealous of that because truthfully, here in the US, you guys have the option to trade London and New York. And I sometimes I'm like, Europe looks really appealing and I think I should move because your kids can be in school and then you can trade New York. So that's awesome. But I want to transition this because this made me laugh. Ashley has me dying here when she wrote this. I just try to survive morning drop off with the kids and it's bananas. And I think it's just funny if you have kids and have ever had to drop them off at school. I get that sounds absolutely bananas, I'm sure. And then just even having to come back and now like change your whole entire process from getting your kids ready in the morning to now, okay, just sit down and focus. And I can imagine you guys will likely need a ritual of some sort to calm yourselves and focus and like switch gears to sit down and start trading now. So I think that made me laugh a little bit.
I have a quick tie-in suggestion real quick, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
So one thing I suggest is that if you have kids around or if you've got a routine involving them, try trading the higher time frames and focus there, because that'll give you more time to get into trades, to do that analysis, to get back to somewhere where you can see if an alert has gone off, as opposed to necessarily trading on the lower time frames where you need to be a lot more focused. And I want to touch on that just because I get a lot of questions of, but I can't be there and the alert went off and I missed that. And my trading says that I need to be there to take the entry. And I think that can generate a lot of stress that the higher time frames and trading there can really help with. So.
All right. So Ken, I'm so sorry. I know we took long on this question, but the rest will move through quicker. Ken, do you have a ritual or anything that you want to talk about that you do or that helps you get ready?
Well, no, not really.
I thought you might say that. I don't know why, but I was like, of all the people,
I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot the last couple of years. So I am in the attitude of don't sweat the small stuff.
I was feeling that vibe coming from you.
Life's too short. I just take it as it comes. I'm happy to take a breath when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I had a feeling you were gonna take that.
The one thing I would really like to do is maybe start getting up just a little bit earlier. But I don't have kids. I have nothing. I mean, I can do this all day long. I don't have any restrictions or because I don't work anymore due to my health. So
well, you work for us. To be fair, he does have commitment.
Thank you.
You do have a job, Ken.
Thank God for you guys.
No, I mean, but you have a job to wake up to. But yeah, you can wake up when you want.
Yeah.
But it does offer you a lot of free time for sure, which is nice. So
it's unbelievable.
It's different level. I think what's nice about all of us here is there's different levels of ages in life and where everyone's kind of at. And I think that it just goes to show you, like, there's no like age that you have to be at that's ideal to get in and trade. Like there's ways that you can get into trading at any time and you can make it work with any of your lifestyle in any way or regard. I think that's what is kind of cool about this. So I love that you kind of, I feel like you're older and wiser and that, just like I
Well,
woke up
I
today,
am
so I'm not going to
58.
stress.
I'm 58. I'll be 59 in November. So, I don't know about wiser, but definitely older.
Well, where the little things don't stress you the same. You're just like, well, just get up and I sit
Not
at the
not
chart,
like they used to. Not like they
Exactly.
used to.
But that is good advice. And I love that you kind of just say, you know what, if you don't have a routine, then that's fine too. You don't have to have a routine. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. And you don't need it. You just trade. Just sit down and trade that.
I mean, if the time comes that it presents itself and of course I do it, but for now, nah.
Just when it
enjoy
fits.
life. Yep.
Yeah, good. All right. I like it. All right. So we're going to move on to the next question. Jay, I see you highlighted one here. Do you have one you're trying to ask?
Oh, no, I was just so we can keep track.
Okay. So right now I've been trading about 100 trades since January. I feel like sometimes I don't want to see the negative results from losing trades. I know that we would have some good weeks and some bad trades. How to manage that feeling? I think what you're asking here is like when you're, I don't know if you're back testing or forward testing, they don't really specify, but it sounds like it's one of those situations where in your head beforehand that there's going to be good weeks, bad weeks, and they will even out. And the idea at the end of it all is to just be profitable, right? That's easy on paper to write down. We get that. But living through it on a week-to-week basis where you have the negative weeks feels soul crushing. Like I think everybody can admit that sucks to do. And then you start getting negative, you get doubtful about your strategy, you start questioning, is this even going to work? Did the market change? And that's when you get tempted to tinker and change things instead of staying consistent for the next week, which the next week very well may be a great week and it would offset your negative week, but now you've tinkered and toyed with things. So I think you're kind of asking that kind of question where that temptation to do that comes in, and like, how do you deal with that feeling to not do that, to control yourself, to trust your system, trust the process, to let it play out. I don't know your time frame, but 100 trades depending on your time frame, also kind of hard for me to tell. 100 trades on a 1 minute time frame is nothing. 100 trades on on a weekly is huge. So I don't really know what time frame you're on. But I will just say, I think that the best thing to do, this is hard. I mean, I think it's easy for me to say to keep yourself controlled. Don't you trust your process, don't break your rules, but I know that's easier said than done. All I will say, and I will move this on because I'm sure somebody else could give better advice because I'm a little further removed from this than some other people here because I've been doing this a little bit longer. And it's like, I feel like I struggle sometimes with these types of questions. Is that for me, when I was learning, the best thing I could do was write out what I could have made if I just stuck with my system. And I would go back at the end of the week. And then if I did tinker or I did mess it up, and then I would do it for the whole month too, just to like revalidate. So I might have a bad week, but then I would do a whole month. And then I would see, okay, it does all play out. And it was just this like constant reinforcement that no, the system that I'm working with does work. I just need to stick with it. I need to trust it. I know that's easier said than done. So I'm going to divert this question to others.
I'll say at the beginning, whenever I started trading, I was kind of in that same mindset in the sense that those bad trades and those bad weeks weighed heavily on me. And I think a big reason for me personally, and I feel like a lot of people could resonate, oh look, doggo, is the simple fact that just don't watch your trades as much as you probably do. Because if you just said, once I built a set and forget system, and like, I mean, we keep saying this, but once I built that and set alerts, then I wasn't watching the trades as much. So when I come back and my alert was hit, whether win or lost, it didn't hurt as much because it just happened. Like there's nothing I could do about it now. Like it happens, but it's almost in the sense that if you watch your trades too much, you feel like you can do something about it when you're not supposed to. And so like, I guess less exposure to watching your trades run could help, because the idea is,
I kind of implied that, to be fair. I just want to make sure I answered the question right. They're asking like, how do they deal with the feelings of knowing that there's going to be good weeks and bad weeks when they trade, and how to manage that? So I get where you're going, but I also feel like
You have to just accept
That's
it.
a
Yeah.
I don't
that's a
know.
bridge you have to cross
Because if
when
you're
you get
trading
there.
to your rules, then you're winning. Okay, so you have to have some focus on the process as opposed to the outcome each day and each week to accept that.
yeah. I
And I
agree.
want
I
to
feel
add
like
to that because that's
this
a
is a
very
tough
important
one.
thing. You have to be on the process, and what helps is to have a trade partner you can talk to, because the thing that happens is if you get on these losing trades, you feel like, did I do the right thing? Was this a good trade? Should I have it entered there? Was my stop loss correct? What should I have done? And if you in that stage of if you have someone who can share, hey, this is a trade I took. What do you think? Was it a good one? And if you get the feedback, yeah, this is according to your trade plan, good one. Mark it up, great process. Let's continue. That keeps you stubborn, because what Christy has the confidence. Confidence comes with experience. At the beginning, if you've done the backtest and you know what to expect, you just have to be stubborn. And one part of one piece of the puzzle, I think, is to have somebody to share your trade. Like, hey, was this okay? Because if it was a good trade, you have a check in your box in your trading journal. You get a +1 in your being consistently what you're doing. You're doing the right thing over and over again. And maybe the same thing we often say, trade small, because you have to be in a situation that you can actually shrug those 7 or 10, 11, whatever losing trades in a row. You have to be able to shrug them off. If they each are $1,000, might be tough to do. If they're only like $10, it's like, yeah, okay, no problem. I just work an hour or two longer next month. So that would be my two advices. Share your bad trades or the losing trades that actually weigh on your mind. Because if you get the feedback, hey, these were good trades, you just happen to be on the losing side. It's part of the deal, right? We all know that, from back testing everything. And it's just a positive reinforcement of that. And I think that's very important to get yourself into a positive state. Like Roxy said, focused on the process. Doing it alone can be difficult. So that would be just shared with a friend or with the community. That we have so many great people here who will look at your trades and say, yeah, good trade. Continue with that, and you will be profitable over the month or the year. And then again, make it so that if you trade live, make it small, so you can actually endure that without feeling the extra load of being big in the red. That would be my two part advice.
And work on it in demo rather than in live a bit. Try to see how many of those experiences and feelings that you can get in demo. Try to make that as real as you can.
I'll hop in on this one. I just went through this in my phase 2. I hit like a big loss streak. And I knew that my strategy was capable of that loss streak, but it still like floored me. It didn't, I like to say the losses themselves didn't bother me, but when I hit that magic number of 7 losses in a row, I instantly said, well, I'm never going to like this if this is like scaled up to actual money and not, my first $10,000 eval. And it did, like it slapped me in the face, and it was something to overcome. And I actually like stopped trading on that eval for almost a month. I missed out on essentially a month's worth of trading on that phase 2 because that emotion kind of ran into me. So I will say the best piece of advice I can give, if that comes up to you, go talk to somebody. Because that's the mistake that I made, is I hit that loss streak and didn't like really just go and tell anybody about it. Didn't tell anybody that it was bothering me. I was completely open about it. I knew that it was within reason to hit that loss streak, but I never went to kind of tell anybody and like say like, hey, this is making me question things, and I should have. So that's my piece of advice, is just talk to somebody. Just reach out, anybody. Mindset Room, for sure.
Thank
Ashley,
you. Mindset Room.
Yeah, Mindset Room is perfect. And Ashley is one of their helpers in there. And she has also just offered in the chat to say, if anybody needs an accountability partner, I'm here. So there you go.
Thank you.
And Mindset is definitely a great place to go, you guys. Hence this whole entire live that we're doing and everything we're doing for the month of May for it. It's big. People don't realize how much mindset really does affect your trading. As you can hear from all of us talking about it. We talked about it last week. So we talk about it all the time. Roxy and Ian cover tons of content on it. It's big. And I don't think enough people really do give it the attention it deserves. Sometimes in some of these other communities, people like to spin the glorified stuff that comes with trading, but don't really talk about the reality of what trading's like. And, this is like
blood, sweat, and tears.
real life, Yeah. So Let's move on to the next one. Oh, sorry. Was there anything else anyone wanted to say about that question? No? Okay. They did ask another question here, which I think everybody can probably quickly answer this one, which was like, how should I act when the market is consolidated? And
Don't
I mean, I
watch
might
the trade while the market's consolidating. That will literally eat you alive.
I mean, if you know it's consolidating and if you are not an experienced enough trader, you haven't tested your stuff with consolidation, you don't know if it works, just don't trade it. I mean, my answer is just skip it. Most people, until they're intermediate or advanced, truly don't actually know how to trade consolidation quite well enough, in my opinion. Obviously, if it's tested in your system, that's different. But if it's not really tested and you know it's a consolidated market, my advice is wait until it's not consolidated and then look for the trades. This is where the patience comes in and waiting for your trade. Consolidation is a frustrating thing to trade. So I don't suggest it for beginners at all. Anyone else?
I have a video on the TTF website about consolidation.
Thank you.
I'll just plug that.
Yes, plug away. Anyone else have anything different they'd like to say about consolidation, or?
Make
Not
rules
different,
about it
I
and
would-
stick to them.
It looks like nobody's like, yeah, trade it. No.
No.
I take it actually a step further. So for me, I'm so patient right now that if I see a market where I don't know what the market is telling me, it can be the consolidation, of course, because consolidation just sucks. But even if you see a price action, like, I don't really know what's happening right there, I just stay out of it because I know the next setup will come. And why should I do something sub quality? Just hurt me in the long time. It will hurt me mentally. It might even hurt me in my bank account. So just stay away and wait for when I say, oh yeah, now I know what's happening. And what I want to do. So that clarity, and it comes with patience and with experience, I guess. But just a
There's
little bit
always going to
slower.
be another setup, always.
Exactly. Yeah, the market's always moving. There's always something else to come along. And just quickly, I'll say, like, there was actually somebody this week who messaged me, and they were frustrated with US 30, and they were doing a lot of multi-time frame, which was good. And they were trying to use the overall trends and all that, and they did a great job with that. But they got kind of stuck this week. And I will say I didn't trade at all this week because I myself, during the times when I sat down to trade, I was frustrated. The only day that even was somewhat that I saw something potentially was actually yesterday. I'll be honest, I actually didn't look today. I was doing back end stuff, but it was Thursday. And even then, by the time I was doing a live and all that, and it just didn't work out timing wise for me to enter in when I wanted to enter in. So I just didn't trade this week. And I know people are like, why didn't, like, you didn't trade at all? And it's like, no, I didn't trade because there was nothing for me to trade. I didn't want to take the risk. There was nothing I loved enough about that setup, but I did give her back the analysis of what I saw. And even with that, like, yeah, my analysis, sure, if I forced it would have been correct, but I wasn't going to force it. Like, it just was consolidated. And I was like, you're frustrated because one trend's going this way and another's going this way and another's this way and this way. And I was like, at the end of the day, when you zoom all out, everything's just consolidated, really. And that's frustration. That's why when you buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, and you can't figure out what's going on, likely you're in consolidation and you're just going to get frustrated. It's okay. If you have to take a week off because maybe the market just sat in a certain range and it never truly broke through it, then you take the week off and it is what it is. If it didn't happen during your time when you trade, it just didn't happen. And I think that's the thing that a lot of us would preach to. I mean, you guys could all chime in if not, but I think most of us would just say, like, going back to the don't force your trades. It's just, if you're looking at this, you have to be accepting of the fact that this is, in this trading world, this isn't always consistent income. And you can't say that, you can't get upset that you're not consistently every day or every week making money. When you do make the money, you're going to make the money. But when you force it and you're trying to make this consistent thing where you're trying to, like, every day make a certain amount, you're probably going to get more frustrated doing that to yourself than you would if you just waited and were patient, because you'll put unrealistic expectations on yourself to hit goals that the market just might not even be capable of giving you when you're trading. So
Yeah, I switched mine from a daily target to a weekly, just because I found that helped me out a lot. If you have an expectation on a daily time frame, you'll more often force it, or at least I found myself doing that, trying to hit that target. It's like, it's just not there. It's fine. One of the biggest things that I learned in trading is that it's also about capital protection. Sometimes my job is literally not to take a trade.
yes.
Literally, like, that is
Yeah.
my job. So
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna steal that, I think. I love that. Yeah, no, I love that because like I think we talked about this last week on the live. Like I had a really good Friday. Friday was the last Friday was the last day of trade. And I had 14R that day, like
Yeah.
between two trades. I more than made what I need to make for that week and this week and next week if I actually broke it all down into goals. So like I don't need to force a trade. And for me to say, oh, I'm just going to force it just to trade, like that's just you're sabotaging your capital potentially. And there's no point to do that. So yeah, I love that. Like my job this week was just to only take a trade if it 100% felt great, and it didn't. And I got my job was just not to take a trade. So thank you.
Yep.
I'm good. I agree. I love that. Definitely a good way to say that. Okay, let's move on here. Jay, do you want to read the next one?
So what's the personality trait that benefits you guys the most? And which trait is your worst enemy? Well, fear and greed is pretty easy answer for the worst, but as for the best, I don't know. Y'all got an answer for that?
For you?
Well, sometimes the worst trait is perfectionism.
That too. Oof. Yeah.
That one
That's me.
bit me hard.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that one hit a lot of you guys. I'm looking at you guys right now. There's probably for a lot of you guys. Weirdly enough, that wasn't mine. Mine was the greed. Like I was definitely greedy. I was too greedy. And mine was a pride. It wasn't perfection. I didn't care that I got them. It's a pride. It was a pride. I didn't want to get it wrong. That's why I would move my stop loss all the time because I like couldn't admit I was wrong. But it wasn't out of like fear of being right all the time. I don't know how to explain it. It just was like, no, like it has to come back.
This has to do this. Yeah.
But it wasn't like because I didn't want a loss on my. It just I just couldn't admit that I was wrong, and then I just would get really bad with it. And then another thing I found, even once I started getting a little bit better, was my greed, holding on to my trades way longer than I probably should have, not learning to protect my capital right away. And meaning like kind of how Roxy even talked about, just don't trade, like learning how to risk manage a little bit better, learning to be happy with smaller probability, or learning how to be happy with smaller rewards for higher probabilities versus going for these massive win rate or rewards and getting lower probabilities. Because for me, that helped. But all right, so Jay, I want to say for you though, I think one of your best traits for you is actually for your trading is that you are so systematic. I think that really works for you. I don't know. Kind of. It's a good and a bad thing for you. But it works when it works well for you, it works well for you.
Yeah, Ashley had brought this up in the chat. We always bring this up too, stubbornness. It could definitely fit into both categories in the sense of like the best and the worst, because sometimes it's good to be stubborn, too stubborn to quit, but at other times it's important to be like, okay, you're wrong. So just
that's a good way. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you. I was so stubborn that I wouldn't not figure out trading because everyone said like, you'll never figure it out. Like, what are you doing? You don't come from that world. Like, you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, no. And I was like, if you say I can't do it, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it. Like, it just gives me more. I'm one of those people like all the time, like anything. So I was like, I'm going to do this. But at the same time, I think that's the stubbornness of not letting my stop loss get hit also like really didn't help when I was learning. So yeah, it was a good and a bad thing. I'm curious to know, like, what do you guys think though? Jay, you can figure out your trade, but I think for you is your robotic systematic ways that help you with your probability and your thinking in that way. But I love to know what you guys actually from the staff, like Roxy, like what would you say is your best worst trait?
My best worst trait. So are you asking for both of them?
That's what they asked, not me.
Yeah, no. I already said worst one for me was perfectionism. I think.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That and just dealing with fear. Best trait is the fact that I am pretty systematic and analytical in what I do. That does really help me out quite a bit. I think in a if-then a lot, and I think that does help me with the trading.
That's why I laughed. I thought for all of you, because you're all such systematic people that I think that when perfection, you're algo people, you have algorithms in your head, you try to solve these things. And you think when you think you cracked it. So when you don't hit the perfection and something doesn't work, you have that moment of like, go back and refix it. But it's like, no, there are, well, it's
perfection
like,
and stubbornism.
I think it comes from your guys, just all the way you guys, your careers and everything, and the way your minds work. And it just comes from this, like, you shouldn't have a flaw in the system though. And a loss is looked at like a flaw, but it's not. That's just trading. And I think you guys have done really good at it, but I can see the perfectionist in a lot of you and how that would get to you.
Yeah.
But good to know. All right, Sven, I'd love to know. I feel like you're pretty similar in lines with these.
Yeah,
but-
probably. So best is pretty similar. Like I can follow processes, so I can also turn off my ego pretty easily. So I just take it as it is. So a very systematic engineer. What can I say? And
Right
for
there.
my worst, I'm kind of divided between two. One is knowledge. So I'm being an engineer probably once again is I've come up with the more you know, the better you can be. And that works in many areas of life. For example, in engineering, the more you know your stuff, the better you are typically. It doesn't work that way in trading. It's not like, oh, I'm not getting the what I want. I need to learn more. I need to learn about Fibonacci, I need to know about Elliott Wave, and everything that's on.
Things can collide.
And that took me quite a while. So I jumped around quite a bit because I wanted to learn more and more and more. It would either be that or that I'm patient/impatient. So I can be very patient once I get ready for something, but once I say, okay, let's go, I'm super impatient. I want like instant gratification. So to just give an idea what it means is when I did get ready for my first live trading, and I was aiming for my trading, I aimed for to get funded, right? Like many of us. And when I first was ready to go live trading, I did not buy a small account. I did not buy one account. I maxed out on my Forex funds on the first go around. That of course failed. And my next go around, I maxed out on my Forex funds and on FTMO because I know what I'm doing. that went wrong too. So that's me being impatient. I can be very like, and when I prepare, very like methodical and be patient with that. But once I okay, let's go, I go like go. And that can be a bit tough sometimes.
I completely see what you're saying. Like as far as acquiring all the data and making sure like your system is good, like you're patient with that. But then like once it's time to live trade that system, it's like, okay, profits now.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm saying. I feel like when you guys hit that first loss, like say your first trade loss, you're like, oh no, like there's an error in the system and everything just like gets a little bit rough sometimes.
So Christy, what does it say when you hire a bunch of engineers?
I know. No, well, I'm gonna move on to Jenks, and I'm hoping Jenks gives me a different answer.
Yeah, actually, right after Sven said like his ability to turn off his ego was kind of like one of his best traits. I think that my inability to identify when my ego has taken over is one of my worst traits. And that has certainly affected me in trading, whether it's sliding the stop loss or like getting 5 trades into a back test and like being like, this doesn't work, let's change things. You know, it's all those types of things for me. And it also kind of falls into like, you know, that like Ashley said, the two sides of the same coin of stubbornness is like there's ego on the one side and then there's drive on the other. I mean, you can be stubborn to a fault and you can be like stubborn to the point where it's beneficial. Like I'm never going to give up. I will bang my head against the wall until my picture's next to insanity on the dictionary. But I'm going to make this work, you know? And I think that that's like my good trait is, you know, is just the drive. Yeah.
But I think your picture's only on the wall of insanity until it makes it to like the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? You have to get through there in order to make it. Like anybody in life who's ever made it has gotten to that point of just true insanity where everyone thinks you're insane until you do make it. And then all of a sudden it's like, how did it happen? And you're like, what do you mean? You just put me on the Hall of Shame insanity like wall. Now you're Hall of Famer, not shame. You're like, it's like, you know. So don't feel bad about that. But yeah, keep pushing it. But I do love that you gave me a little bit of a different answer. Thank you, because my engineers were putting everybody making look very routine here. No, I do love I love the engineer minds, which is why there are so many of them here. The systematic algo routine like thought process, it's great, but it's not me. So that's why I adore you guys, because it's not me. I'm more in the Jenks type of mindset where I know like I was scattered. I was all over the place. I tried a little of everything. And I think yeah, I guess the stubbornness in a bad way was turning off the ego part of me. Like I didn't even know when it was on to turn it
Yeah.
off. Like, you know what I mean? It just
Well,
wasn't.
like for me, so I'll give an example. I came initially from like options and position trading where I was looking more at stocks, and I felt that from that background, I should be a NASDAQ trader because I traded stocks that were on the NASDAQ. That made the most sense to me. And I stuck on NASDAQ for like over a year, despite everyone saying like Forex is just that little bit easier for price action when you're starting out. Things are just a bit easier to read. And it was at the beginning of this year, I finally kind of said to myself, like, I understand, I love the NASDAQ and I do understand how it moves, but I'm getting so frustrated with the inconsistency. Let me peel some of these things back to the basics. And it was like peeling away that stubbornness of saying that, like, I've only been looking at the NASDAQ. And that wasn't conducive to me at the time. So I stopped being a little bit stubborn with the NASDAQ and I moved on and I look at some Forex pairs now. And I'm stubborn in different places, but it's one little place that I've tried to make a progress on.
Well, thank you for sharing. Ken, do you have a good and a bad trait? Do you think, what would you say is your best trait that benefits you in trading? And then what is your worst trait?
Probably my worst trait is over trading.
That's a good one. I feel like no one said that yet. And that's a very common one that a lot of people.
Over trading, revenge trading. You know, those
All of our favorites here in mindset,
Yeah,
all of the
yeah.
favorites. Yeah.
Those, those, and then my best trait is the ability to change when necessary.
Adaptability.
Adaptability. Yeah.
Yeah, adaptability. That's a good.
I will definitely say you're good at that. I feel like I've thrown things at you and you're just like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll do it. And I
Yeah.
feel like you never freaked out because like if I throw things at Jay like that, for instance, he like has the engineer in mind that he's like, hold on, I have to deconstruct it all and rebuild it. And it's like, Ken's just like, I'll just do it. So yeah, I could see the difference. No shade, Jay.
An
like I said,
engineer, yeah, I was saying, an
I
engineer
love-
can learn to be adaptable.
I
Yeah.
love all of you. Like I love your guys.
I'm
but I
definitely
mean,
adaptable. I'll complain and then I'll adapt.
Yeah.
It's a
He
step.
does.
It's a
Okay, there.
system.
Operations.
System.
Yeah, there's one extra
Question,
step.
complain, do.
Yeah, exactly. That's exact. See, he broke it down into it and he sticks to it like true and true sticks to it. Whereas Ken is just like straight to the shore.
Yeah, it's,
Adaptability. But yeah, I love that. So thank you. Okay, so let's keep moving
So,
on.
Christy, no,
Yes.
before you move to the next question, I actually have one for you if you don't mind. And you can say, hey, I don't want to answer this one, but it is
Oh.
directed to you as a long-term trader. At one point in time, you said you had a highest and biggest trade. It was like over 100K on like a single trade or something like that.
Mhm.
Can you kind of describe for us what was that like holding that trade longer, for example, or was it even longer? I'm kind of making an
Oh, it
assumption
was.
here, but
It was like a week and some change. A
Okay.
week and then over until a weekend swap fee, which terrified me because I had to sit through for me, Sunday night opening of the market. I set an alarm. I set like 3 alarms, so I wouldn't miss it because the gap like that when
Yeah.
the market opens, I was
Oh, yeah.
terrified of it. But yeah, I held that and then it gapped in my favor, secured a little more of it, and then let it run for the rest of that day. And then I was like, all right, this is just craziness. Like I need to get out this trade. But go ahead. Sorry, you can ask the actual question, but that's
Yeah.
it was about
No,
a
what I
week
was just
and
going
a
to ask
week.
if you could describe what it was like. Was that a situation where you were pushing yourself just to see if you could hold it longer? Like, how did
Mhm.
that come to be to have something that went that long and that large? And what were kind of some of the emotions around it? If you don't mind.
So I didn't set out to have anything that large. I didn't actually set my reward to be like, hey, let me get this massive reward. It was just all the stars aligned in this trade. And to be fair, I've never had a trade that big again since. Not that I've really had looked for another trade that large. I don't know if my nerves can take to do that again. I'm not a swing trader. I'm not meant for that life. I know it. That was a good test to see if I could or
Gotcha.
couldn't. But I also just got really lucky. I was looking at a 4-hour time frame, for reference, just so people know what I was working on. So obviously, a 4-hour time frame being a little bit of a higher time frame, I'd been waiting for a setup to happen that I wanted everything to correlate on the 4-hour, 1 hour, 30-minute, literally everything finally lined up for me down to the 15-minute. So I was waiting for that to happen, and then finally, I did get the entry I was looking for, but going for that 4-hour zone, like that I had marked, right?
yeah.
So initially my thought process was enter in on the 15-minute, get the nice, sniper entry, what feels like a sniper entry, is tighter stop loss. It literally was like at the bottom of a area or order block, whatever you guys want to call them, zone, whatever you guys want to call
it zone.
It was here, and everything lined up for me, like even down to all my Stokes crossing the right way, which almost never happens. Everything was perfect, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to enter in, and I had no clue it was going to go that clear shot for me that it did. And I remember just being like, this is just absolutely like crazy to me, but it all worked out. And every day I would just check the trade and it was still going in my direction. The pullbacks were like almost non-existent that I was getting, very minimal retracements, so I was like, okay, and I just kept following along with my trailing stop, like giving a nice cushion. To be fair, I gave a very nice cushion with my trailing stops. But securing at the end of each day, right before market would close, I would move it, secure it a little bit more. And then I just did that every day throughout the week. And I don't know what my end goal was. I'll be honest. I don't remember if I had one. I just remember being like, this is insane. Like, just because the number, like at some point, like the numbers, it just kept going. And I was just like, when do you stop? Like, I remember, I was Googling, like, when do swing traders stop? Like, when do you stop? Like,
Yeah.
how long do I let this insanity go on for? And I was just like, I couldn't sleep. Like, I was like, and that's when I realized
ChatGPT's not around to ask.
No.
Yeah, I saw Jinx, like, I was like,
I literally, no, it wasn't around. This is 3 years or so ago. I don't know. I was just literally like dumbfounded. I've never seen anything like that, even to this day, like where it just all worked out. And I wish I could tell you that I did something amazing or special, but it was just all the stars aligned and I just trailed beautifully, and the pullbacks of the trade just weren't deep enough to stop me out ever. So it just went perfect, but I was terrified. I mean, I can't even act like I was cool and calm and collected. Like, oh yeah, like no, like I was confident. I was not confident in anything. Like literally my weekend was destroyed because all I did was like freak out and kept overanalyzing. And of course the market's closed. So you're like, should I go? I had that moment on Friday where I thought I should close these trades. Like, this is just crazy. I think I was like 80,000 or something. And I'm like, close your trades. And the greed. So the greed in me kicked in and I said, hold a little, just hold till like 4th. My time, the market closes technically at 5, but I don't typically, even when I day trade, ever hold a trade till 5. And this is a couple of years ago, so it's still kind of newer, like at holding these trades this long. And I made the mistake of thinking that I could hold and the trade. So I set an alarm for, I remember 4:30 my time, thinking like, go onto your broker and close the trades out at 4:30. You have a half-hour buffer. That's a lie. It's like 4:20-ish or so for my broker. And I remember like setting the alarm trying to go on Friday, and like it kept giving me the do you guys know the noise?
Yes.
it's gonna be 0. No.
You know the noise when the market's closed and it can't make can't do anything. I was like, it like makes that. And I was like, oh my God. And then I saw the swap fees and I was like, oh, you're in it. Like, you're in deep now. That whole weekend was ruined, and I kept over analyzing the charts and being like, oh no, like if it gaps this way, if it gaps this, like I'm gonna lose a lot of money. I was freaked out. I was really freaked out. But I mean, whatever. The trading gods were smiling down on me and they let it gap in my favor. And then what does my greed do? My greed kicks in on Monday and still holds the trade. Like so I'm not saying I did the right thing. But no, honestly, it all did work out. I did make sure I secured like a lot on Monday. And again, it just it was like one of those things where it just shot in the direction I needed it to go. And I just got lucky. But by Monday, like around 3 or 4 o'clock, I was like, no, none of this like end of day stuff, like just close the trade. Like, this is crazy. All right. That's enough about that trade.
No. Thank you very much. I wanted to know, like, I think it's really good for people to hear the emotions that you go through, even when something is big in your favor or whatever, there's still those emotions there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Ashley, you are asking about my swap fees. The swap fees don't. Yeah. Oh, thank you,
I was
Jay.
gonna ask,
It actually doesn't
everyone
depend.
on lot size.
Yeah, it doesn't depend on how large the trade gets. It depends on how many lots you're taking. So your trade can run for a really long time, and you could grow it as big as you want. But
Yeah.
the weekends, so that's for like daily swap fees, but the weekend swap fees are a little bit larger.
Yeah.
And you'll see that on there too. And then I was with the I can talk about them because I don't think they're at all even exist. I was with a prop firm at the time, and they had different fees for weekends. So I was more getting hit with the prop firm fees that I was copying to, that I was like worried about. And I actually never even got that paid out from that prop firm. So
Seriously?
I mean, for I copied. So my personal, like Hugo's way paid. Yeah, no, Hugo's way paid me, but I copied. So I'm thinking I'm like rich, right? Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm set for like 5 years. Like,
I'm balling.
No, and I didn't get any. I did not get paid out from that prop firm at the time for that trade.
Unrealized gains.
Yeah, funding talent. No. Funding talent actually dinged me for the weekend. At the time, they didn't allow you to hold through your weekend, and I didn't close in time.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where the greed comes. So, in my head, I was like, well, I just lost like 80,000. Then like, let me hold through Monday. And yeah, I go through it too, guys. I'm human too. I go through all the emotions, and it worked out that time. But like I said, I've never made that much again. Like I've never seen that much in a trade. Maybe someday I'll challenge myself, but it's torture to hold. Like for me, I don't know how swing traders do it. I think swing traders are some of the strongest people mentally that
What was the total again?
Oh God, I'd have to look. It was like 100.
It's 159, as I recall, or 154.
Good Lord.
It's on my Instagram. It's like way down there.
Seem you mentioned something about that.
I think there's like a video or something. Anyway, but yeah, that was
a lot of swing traders too,
anyway,
just kind of
somewhere on here.
take advantage of swap rates. You can have positive swap rate fees where they pay you depending on like which currencies you trade. So you can kind of like rack up on money as you're holding trades for days and weeks.
Yeah. I used to overtrade. I'll be honest.
Hey, that was the one thing like you emphasized the most to me when you heard I was trading on the 1 minute. And this was a ways back, but you were like, okay, the one thing you're going to probably struggle with and you got to pay the most attention to is over trading on the lower time frames. You were like, that you need to practice more than anything.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a lesson I learned too. And I'm not going to act like I didn't do it. And a lot of the stuff that I made a few years ago was all I overtraded. I overtrade more than I trade now. And, but I was new to prop firms at that time. And I was really trying to take advantage of like a prop firm that I was using that, like I said, funding talent's no longer around, but I did a spend. I went in, I maxed out my capital with them. And I was like, I'm just going to try and get what I can quickly. And I did overtrade for sure. I was doing well. So I don't regret that, but yeah, my goal at the time, the time that I got into prop firms, I had been starting to trade and was making money, but I still was working. So I think a lot of people also forget that I've worked through learning how to trade for a very long time. It was only in the last 4 years or so that I truly started walking away from my actual job, which was a nurse. I slowly weaned away from it, but I never truly just gave it up for a long time. So yeah, I think that people forget that sometimes. And for me, the prop firms was like a way to kind of like secure some money quickly. So of course I was like, oh, I won't have to work again for 3 years if I can like get these 2 trades. And it's not a good way to think at all. Like it's not proper to do that. But I went heavy in the beginning with that prop firm. I'm not saying I traded the proper way. So don't do as I'm telling you guys. Learn your lesson, like Roxy said too. Like don't overtrade on the 1 minute or the lower time frames. Long term, it doesn't actually help you if you do that. So just be careful about what you're doing. Try to make it more consistent. Worry about the consistency of getting your profits versus like the amounts that you're going for. All right. I talked about that for a while. So let's move on to you guys. are there any rules that you have that you find the hardest to follow?
Can I
Anybody wanna
actually jump in here real quick?
Yeah.
Can we take one of the questions that was a
Oh, yeah.
follow-up to that? Somebody
Sure.
said, but I'm a newbie, and how do I gain enough experience without over trading?
Oh,
And I thought that was a nice tie-in on that.
yeah. Do you want to take this or somebody? I feel like I talked a lot just now. So
Actually, I want to pitch this to Sven or Jinx.
Yeah, sure. So I think what helps the most is backtesting, because backtesting tells you what to expect. So you know from backtesting you get like 2 or 3 good trades. So if you do more than that, you know you're doing something wrong if it happens too often. So that's like kind of like a feedback loop for me. So I know just from looking at the numbers, what is over trading from my trading side. That comes from the backtesting data. And based on my backtesting, I write my trading plan. And if my trading plan says I take 2 trades or 3 trades a day, I just stop that. And also have like how many winning trades after I stop, how many losing trades I stop. And this is just fixed rules, and make them tight, especially in the beginning. I have talked about it before, but as a newbie, just make it very simple, very strict. One market, 1 trade a day, journal it. And it's boring, it's tough, it's very tough to do that. But if you manage to do really that, as 1 market, 1 trade a day for a month, you're good to go. You're building a very good foundation for your trading lifestyle.
So your back testing is where you're really doing that back testing like bar replay. That's where you're generating that experience to recognize your trades, not only just to get the data, but I would say also the experience that you're getting from that. It doesn't have to just be in the live markets.
Experience, I would say no, because at least how I do my back testing is you go very quickly between trade and trade and trade. So this kind of like having to wait for the next trade, because that's, I think, what meant by many people overtrade, because they have to sit and stare at the charts and see them moving, and they start to seeing, think, hey, I could enter here, maybe that's a good thing. And that's, you don't get that with back testing, at least not if you really do like fast forwarding. You don't have that emotions active in backtesting. But for me, it really is understanding from my backtesting, I can expect 2 or 3 trades per day. And if I do more, I probably am overtrading if it happens over and over again. So just limit, based on your backtest, just limit yourself to the trades. And this will also make you pay attention to just taking the quality trades. This also goes back to the first question we have, like how to battle impatience. If you learn to identify what a quality setup is, you're actually rewarding yourself by being patient to get this high quality setup. And if you do this over and over again, you will notice how much easier it is on your mind, because a high quality setup is one that's like, yes, I want to be in that trade. If it loses, okay, but I want to be, that's the time where I want to put my money on in the markets on the line. And this is from the mental side so much easier than like, do I want to enter here? I don't know. I mean, yeah, let's just these mediocre trades. Yeah, I could enter here. Maybe I should not. I don't know. And so, yeah, I think I left the
Thank you.
answer the question. Sorry.
I'm gonna
No,
feed
you
off
did
that question because we have one of them in here that I think can kind of like just glide onto that. So actually the question is how long did it take you before you were comfortable enough to invest your own money into a live account? So I feel like this kind of feeds off the beginner questions there.
Well, I started with my own money and blew an account, and had the brutality feeling of going through that and losing that. So I think that if you can pass your demos and you move on to an evaluation and you pass that and you consistently are able to show yourself you can keep it, let's think a few months or something, then I think you can give yourself the next challenge of trading with some live funds that are your own. But I'd build that up from what I get from prop firms. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah. You have the resources, you have the tools in front of you. There's no reason to rush going live. The markets ain't going anywhere. So like take your time, make sure you own your edge, go into demo trading, even do FTMO. I think E8 might do it now, where they do like free challenge accounts. So make sure you can pass a couple of those and then try it out whenever you have the money that you are at the same time still willing to lose. Like don't spend anything that you're not willing to lose. And the perfect thing about prop firms is that there's a very nice reward in the sense that you could turn like $50 into a $10,000 account potentially. It's not guaranteed, but as long as you put in that effort and that work, then it could definitely pay off.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. That is a big payday, effectively.
And even if you don't pass the first, the second, the third, the fourth, like you need to identify what you did wrong in the past, like figure out, was it you or was it your system? It's probably going to be you, because I've done this plenty of times. And like, damn, Jay, like you're really screwing up this time. But just don't, at the end of the day, like as long as you keep evaluating what you did wrong and move and like using that into the next situation where maybe it's another prop firm, like once you finally pass, you're gonna make up everything that you have spent in the past. And I'm not trying to say go ham on buying accounts. I'm just saying, like, if you fail, step back, do not buy another account, step back and evaluate, was it me or was it the system? Was I subconsciously adding in like confluence that I didn't have? Did I trade at the right time? Did I overtrade? And once you can identify that, then you could think about moving forward as well. So yeah.
Anyone
I'd
else
get
wanna-
consistent on demo first, though.
Yeah.
You really do need to.
Yeah.
And I know that some people tend to they have like the analysis paralysis when you go to live. So you go from
Mhm.
demo, you're a demo warrior, and then you go to live and you just like freeze, you don't know what you're doing. You know, and that does take time to overcome. My suggestion for people with that is start very low. I think Sven touched on this. Start low in your profits then. Like just invest a small amount just to get over that initial fear of live. And then you can start to slowly bring it back around. Does anybody else have anything else to talk about with that? I'm kind of with Roxy in that I started with my own capital, so I don't feel like I'm really a good one to talk about the prop firms and like when you feel ready to do that, because I was already trading on live before prop firms were really a thing for me. But I don't know if anyone else has anything to say about prop firms or like when you feel that you're ready to do that, or maybe invest your money in a prop firm challenge. Jay kind of talked about it, but does anyone else have anything else to say about it? Okay, we can move on.
Okay, nailed it.
Well, I think,
Wait, one more question and then I'm gonna wrap up, guys. Oh, sorry, unless you guys have something to say. We're kind of going long here and we can save some of these questions for next week because we still have a few more weeks of Q&As to do and we can roll them over. If you guys in the chats actually, or listening, actually have a specific question though that you want to ask, please type it out now while we read the last question and then we'll get through them. And then we're probably gonna wrap up for you guys because it is Friday and people have things to do. So Sven wants to go to sleep, I think. All right. So the last question kind of also builds off this. I kind of want to keep with the theme of these people who are talking about getting started or what to do when you're struggling. So that question is, well, there's a little two-parter here, but how do you keep your profits? I make exceptional gains, but end up losing all of them. Any tips or tricks to ensure consistency? And I do like this. I do journal because I feel like our answer to everything is journal.
dot.
I feel like they're like, don't tell me to journal. I do journal. I'll
touch back to that
to you.
over trading because
Yeah.
real quick, because that's actually what my journaling and looking at my data showed me is that I gave back a lot of my profits the longer I traded. Okay, because one of the things that you expend when you trade for longer periods of time, if you're staring at the chart, is your mental capital too. So if you're not paying attention to how your emotions are doing, the toll that those could be taking and what you're expending mentally, you become more susceptible to the negative effects, the negative emotions, but the negative effects of taking trades, those start to creep in and you're more prone to the revenge trading and so forth. But yeah, the over trading. So I put rules in place that help me with this. I found myself more and more profitable the fewer trades I took. Not only just waiting for the quality setups, but the fewer of them that I took, because I knew that's a grade A setup, that one's worth taking. Okay, that's one more and I'm done. Rather than going, yeah, you know what? I allow myself, say, 10 trades in a day, and I'm going to max it out and push for that. I end up BE at the end of the day or in a loss, whereas I could have stopped with profits. So it was learning not only quality setups, but, you know, don't overtrade. And that's what really helped me to really dial in on keeping those profits, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Anybody else have any suggestions for that, for keeping your profits?
Kind of depends if you're a prop firm or if you're live, or like if you're a personal account. I feel like personal account's a lot harder because like you have the profits that you have. You're not like having to wait for like an entity to pay you in 2 weeks or so. So it's like it's pretty easy to, well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier compared to personal account. Be like, okay, I just made this money. I'm gonna wait the bi-weekly payout until the prop firm pays me. But if you make it on a personal account, you have that money. You can withdraw and do whatever you want with it. So it's like yeah, I can understand.
You're assuming you made the money though. They make exceptional gains, but end up losing it all. Imagine now you're on a personal account. You don't have the safeguard of only losing your $500
Yeah.
for a prop firm and saying, oh, well, whatever, and drawdown's 10,000, who cares? Your drawdown on a real account is really $10,000.
Roxy had brought
Guy
that up
coming
a
back
while
from that
back.
mentally, like that's tough.
Roxy had brought it up a while back as having kind of weekly, maybe have weekly, bi-weekly, monthly kind of goals, and not too huge. Like make it realistic to your testing. If on average, like you could see anywhere 6 and 7%, and within the 2 weeks of that first month, you made that 6 or 7% or reward, whatever, and that's probably a good time to just wrap it up and wait for the next month potentially, just because, like I said, on average, that's what you tend to make. So you've hit that threshold. There's a good probability it's only going down after that. So it's, I don't know. Of course, I'm
think
going to
it-
answer with data, but
I think it was actually Alp. I got this tip from Alp, like from a podcast, I think like months ago, where he was like, you know, I'm just demo trading, but I still have goals for myself. He's like, and I hit like my weekly goal on Tuesday, you know, but like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday came around and like I still wanted to like trade. He's like, so you move it over to like demo and you fake trade it, like you paper
True.
trade those other days. And I always liked that. I always thought that stuck with me because that kind of goes to the thought of like, if you're on your personal account, like you were saying, Jay, where, you know, if it's a prop firm, you know, you make X amount of money and then you wait for your payout and that's that. But if it's your personal account, I mean, like it's your personal account. And I mean,
yeah,
like, sure, you
it's
could,
yours.
you could pay out from your personal account to like a bank account or something if you wanted. But if, you know, the goal is to just kind of be compounding, then I think the important thing is kind of like anything in this is to set rules and to stick to them. You know,
And know that if you are able to pass prop firm challenges, spread your trades out among accounts. So you can, and I do this, I bank a certain amount of R into a certain account, and then I just set it aside because that's guaranteed.
Okay,
And
leapfrog.
then, huh?
Leapfrog. You leapfrog
Yeah.
accounts.
Yeah, exactly. So I just spread it out. And I think that helps me to preserve and know that I've got that banked there, which is helpful.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I'm always doing different things on different accounts. So like, you know, maybe I do reward on one and then I'm like, cool, that account's fine for this week. Or like, you know, I just move around. And the same thing, because that way, God forbid one of them ever, you know, it happens. It does happen. It happens to me too. Like, God forbid you ever lose an account. Like, you're not just like starting from scratch all over again. And I like to kind of keep them shuffled around. I also like to, it's a different side note for another day, but I like to stay low key under the radar on these accounts because, you know, you go too crazy on them and sometimes you draw attention you don't want from the firms. So, and you know, the goal of these are not to be the flashiest trader for me. You know, I'm not trying to be on your leaderboard and all that all the time. I just want consistent payouts. That to me is just one consistency. With lower risk, not always having to risk my own personal capital. I want to just comment on this though, where they say that they make exceptional gains, but end up losing all of them. I don't know your plan, but my first thing that comes off as a red alert to me when reading that is I do question what you're doing risk management wise with this. And this kind of, not to get into too technical about this, keeping it mindset focused does kind of go back to what Roxy said, where your job is to protect your capital. Sometimes that's your only job. So if you're making exceptional gains and you're not protecting that capital properly, I think that that's somewhere, and you do journal, which you have noted, thank you. You do journal. I think somewhere in your journal is your answer there as to how you could maybe protect your capital better. And I do think that probably comes down to not over trading or limiting your losses somewhere. Like in a day, say after this number of losses, I'm done trading for the day and walk away. So kind of like feeding off what everyone else said. But yeah, I think if you are able to make exceptional gains, great. But you are losing. So somewhere risk management wise, capital protection wise, you are struggling. And your journal has those answers, I promise you. But if you need help with it, definitely let us know. Ask in Mindset, or you could even post it in strategy support. If you like post your little journal and you want some help, and just like ping one of us and say, hey, could you take this, look over this and help me figure out where I'm maybe messing up.
And tying into mindset there, if your journal does not include your emotions, both from the trade and from like when you take a loss, when you take a win, maybe even during the trade, if you can as well, note down your major emotions or what you're experiencing. Did you move your stop loss? Did you manage your trade? Did you shoot for a higher TP than your strategy calls for? All of those things are keys as well. It's not just the data of the trade itself, it's the emotions that behind it and during it that can also help you to find those keys. So if you're not, you say you're journaling, but if you're not also mindset journaling, I'd start adding that in there. So just wanted to tie it in there for you.
Next week it's going to say I mindset journal too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding. I just thought that was funny because I know we always say journal.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I did promise that was the last question from this. There are a few more. There's some more. So we'll roll those over into next week's Q&A because otherwise we could stay here forever. But let's get into some of the chat questions if you guys do have anything or comments or stuff that you want to talk about, so we can get you guys who are here actually listening, and then we'll probably wrap up for the weekend.
I think the only thing
go
we
ahead.
got was Marcus Sniper. He said, I think he was talking on the sense of, does anyone have a fun account, like a second account just for having fun, not your serious one, or is that a bad idea? Well, if you're a robot and you're able to flip off your emotions and just trade away, then so be it. But I feel like a lot of us aren't like that. For me personally, I'm not like that. And there would be a good chance that I would just forget that I'm now on serious account and still trade with that mentality. Consciously, maybe even subconsciously at that point. Like you might not notice that you are still I'm still aggressive Jay when I should be conservative, secure Jay. So it wouldn't work for me personally. I wouldn't.
I agree. You have to be pretty mentally strong to do this. I have tried this in the past to do like the grow a small account kind of thing, because initially when I started trading, I did do that. And I thought, oh, I'm going to do this again. Like, I'll make this fun, do this again, see if I can do it. And I struggled. Yeah, I did struggle. I struggled to go back to my regular style that I know is consistent for me and works for me now, versus trying to like flip these accounts where you're over risking. And in order to get that way that they want you, over trading a little bit or maybe over risking. And yeah, I learned pretty quickly with even just one attempt at it that it wasn't fun. That was not a fun account. I wasn't having fun. I was having a really miserable time actually doing that. And it just wasn't for me. I've realized that it does, like Jay's saying, it just didn't work for me to switch my style in that way. I can switch my style in a lot of other ways. When you guys show me things and stuff like that, I can switch what you're seeing in my analysis. But to switch how I actually enter into the trade manage, the way that I protect my capital, I think that's what I've actually mastered really well. More than anything, I think that's why I do well. I think I'm really good at risk management on my end and trade capital. Not that I get sniper entries and crazy rewards and super tiny stop losses. I'm just really good at my risk management and my probability that I take. So I don't do well on those fun accounts, that people like to do, where you way over risk or whatever they're doing. As far as just having an extra one to play around with, I mean, I have a few that kind of just sit there and I don't like touch as often. I maybe shuffle some money into them and think, oh, someday maybe I'll do more with this. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll swing on them. Maybe I'll like use them to like start swing trading again. That's probably what I need. An account I set and forget and I never look at. They just like set the trade and hold it till the cows come home kind of thing. I don't know. Does anyone else have anything like that? Like a second account that you mess around with like that, or?
I did have that in the past. So yeah, you guys know I'm a poker background, and during my poker days I did have a second account where I did like 10 times the risk and played lower stakes and just splashing around fun things and just grow them. Like I started off with like, I don't know, $100 in them and then just see how quickly I could take them to 1K. And it was fun. But I don't do that in trading, because in trading I think it's it's just different because you don't play a different stake, you don't play a different game with different rules, you play the same market with the same rules. So there's no switching around. And I think like Jay said, it would just be introducing bad habits, because even if they, hey, I want to take like $100 and do higher risk to get things moving, I think it teaches you the wrong things in trading. So I even though I did it in the past and it's fun, but I wouldn't do that with trading.
Yeah, I agree. I think you cross that line into when you're talking about your style, like how you would do it or how you were using it. You cross that line from trading to gambling, which we've talked about on a podcast too, where it's a fine line you walk. And then when you're getting this, like if you do well on it and you like get those little dopamine hits for doing something that wasn't really that smart risk wise, and you just kind of got more lucky than anything. Yeah, I feel like that's where you might start reinforcing bad habits and follow that into your everyday trading. So again, you have to be really mentally strong to like separate the two, I think. But I mean, as far as just having an extra account that's a smaller account, maybe you do have a smaller account and that's your account when you don't want to overtrade on your serious one, like Jenks was saying. So, instead of going to demo, maybe you go to that second account to shoot your trades on, just to get the trading bug out of you, that if you want to still keep trading, maybe do something like that. But I as far as like just having fun, I don't know what that means when you're saying funny. You can clarify if you want. But fun in my head is just like, yeah, throw $100 on this.
10%
Throw
risk. Yeah.
I know that just, I feel like all of us are like, no. So
That's terrifying.
I don't know, Jenks or Ken, do you guys have like any second accounts, hidden secret second accounts that you guys
No.
mess with?
I kind of same mindset as Sven. I kind of came from a background where I was maybe less so than Sven, but prone to gambling. So I once I realized that like my first foray into this world was options, and when I realized that what I was doing was gambling and not like probabilistic, it's like I shut the fun account, if you will, down.
No hate to options traders, but we
Yeah,
can't.
no.
Yeah. We're just not options traders here. You can trade options safely. We're just going to say that is possible, but most people
just
get
different.
into it with the lure of not trading a very
Yeah.
safe place. But yeah, it is definitely different. All right. Well, I appreciate you. I know you come with that whole like gambling background too, which I feel like could be very tempting to like cross the line sometimes, and like hard to break that mentality. And the back and forth, I think, would get too messy for me too, because I love to gamble. I told you guys, like I love to gamble too. So like gamble is fun when I go to the casinos, but when I'm trading, it's work. Like I don't think of it like gambling at all.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For me, it's a work thing. So there isn't that aspect to it.
Yeah, there's no fun in this. There's no fun.
No, I mean, I'm having fun while doing it. I love seeing setups and going, I know exactly where that's going. I know what that's doing. I mean, that's the fun aspect for me, but like not a fun account where I'm just like, yeah, I can just go blow this money that way. I'd rather take that money and go do something incredibly fun, like out in the world with it, rather than, blow it there.
Well, I feel like before we turn this mindset into a casino trip, I think this is a good time to wrap things up. We only went through halfway of the questions. It's we have a lot of questions
for next week.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions for next week. So really appreciate everybody that came out. We do have all the winners here. I think Roxy will probably at the winners, but make sure.
Okay.
I can at them. I was adding them too.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, Christy will at y'all to make sure that
I'll be DMing you guys with it.
Yeah,
I'll be DMing you guys with the details with everything.
We'll give you all the deets. So appreciate everybody. Actually, this week we weren't able to do it the previous week, but this week look out for some crazy shenanigans and mindset room by Christy probably, and
I don't know,
we'll
crazy,
catch y'all.
but like some shenanigans.
Somewhat crazy, middle of the pack crazy shenanigans, but
surprises
next Friday where
just little drops.
Yeah, we won't go into detail, but we'll catch y'all next Friday where we'll be doing another mindset. It will be another Q&A to finish off these questions and maybe add some more, but we'll catch y'all then.
Yeah, have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, bye, guys. Thank you guys for coming on and sharing and talking.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. I'll see you guys all Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Gonna stop recording.